Hello everyone. Welcome to today's video, which is about how to make a good game jam entry. A lot of people may not know what a game jam is, but it's basically when you make a game within a set period of time. So usually 3 days to 2 weeks depending on the organizer. You can join with a team or even make your game alone like I did. It's very similar to hackathons if you're a coder and you're familiar with that. Now, I actually joined my first game jam back in March, and I kind of went into it not knowing if I was going to be able to make a game in time, because my only prior experience in game development has been following Bracky's video on how to make a game, which I've talked about in my previous video, and even that was like 3 to 4 months ago, so I kind of went in as a noob. However, the game jam that I joined had a deadline of 2 weeks, which is much longer than usual, so I had a lot of time to figure out how things work despite how inexperienced I was and am. So my first recommendation would be that if you're still relatively new to game development, you should probably join a game jam that's like a week or 2 weeks long, so that's less pressure on you and you can also learn more with the given amount of time. Moving on to planning and organizing your game jam entry. This is where you'll come up with ideas, game mechanics, how to implement them using code, and also consider the assets that you might need. When coming up with ideas, it's best to consider what you'll be judged on and rank it from most important to least important. While this is different for every game jam, the organizers will probably write it out somewhere, and generally it'll be something like the theme, how fun it is to play, the art, the sound design, etc. Also the game mechanics. A mistake that I made was not implementing the theme that well. No one should have to rely on a written description to understand how your game fits in with the theme. As for game mechanics, I think it's really easy to forget that strangers are going to be playing your game, so they don't really know what your ideas are or how to play the game inherently. So it's best to add in a little how-to tutorial. I think a lot of times when I play game jam submissions, my biggest struggle is figuring out how the game works, because I don't know, like, there's no outside sources to pull from like it is when you play a well-known game like Stardew Valley or Minecraft. Not to talk about code and assets. Let's say that you've written out all your ideas, you've selected the best ones, and you've also written down the mechanics that you want to add and the rules that you want to follow. Now is probably the best time to open up the game engine and start making the game, but there's a general consensus that you should create your basic mechanics first, like what's absolutely necessary, and then add in your assets. For me, I can't really do that because I don't like how bare bones things look, and I also don't like putting in maybe rough art that I've made myself because it's just very demotivating for me to work on something that doesn't look good. So I think this is when we should introduce assets. I personally spent the second day of the game jam I was in just downloading assets from itch.io. Very glad that I did, because first of all, I severely underestimated how much time it takes to make your own assets, and secondly, how hard it is to make assets that you yourself would be satisfied with. And third, when you make assets yourself, and let's say that you're a beginner, you probably aren't very familiar with how composition sizes work. So I think using asset packs help you get a better understanding of that, because it did for me. Basically, if you're struggling to progress on a game because of how it looks, consider using asset packs instead. You can even modify it if the creator allows it, like I did with this little moving wagon animation. Back to the code, I want to stress that you should add the major parts of your game first and leave the little details for later, which sounds very obvious, but it's really easy to forget that in my experience. I remember I needed to add in obstacles for my endless runner that I was making, and instead I tried adding in a timer so you could see how long you survived. But first of all, you couldn't have even died at that stage because there were no obstacles to die from, and then the timer didn't even work, so I had to scrap it anyways. Another example is when I had like 2 days left. I needed to make the beginning cutscene for my game and dialogue, and also categorize like the collectible items, and instead I tried to add in a double jump function, which in theory should be easy, but for me just didn't work. I don't know why. So yeah, try to add in the small details afterwards, because there will be enough time, because despite all the issues and then experience, I did submit a day early. Lastly, if possible, please get other people to play your game as beta testers, because there will be bugs and it is very difficult to deal with last minute. I had a lot of bugs in my game and I gave up on fixing them because it was like 2 weeks of unpaid labor, and I was pretty happy with what I made so far. And when I submitted, it was 1 a.m, so I did have time to fix them the day after, and no matter what I did, it didn't work, so I just called it a day. But that's basically all I know about making a good game jam entry for now. I hope it was even a tad bit helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next video.